Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Martin from Candlebox, and may the rock be with you.
Morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm good. How you going?
I'm excellent, mate. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, dude, thank you for your time.
No worries at all. Welcome to May the Rock Be With You, Kevin. Probably one of your close to first Australian interviews, I think, maybe.
I think my first ever.
Yes, let's do it. All right, cool. It's a pleasure to talk to you, mate. I've been a fan for a long, long time, so this is awesome, and we're really excited because you're coming down to Australia for the first and last time, which is kind of bittersweet, really. Like it's as crazy as this is, you've never been here before. So, can you give us an idea on how a Candlebox show shapes up?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I'm married to an Australian. I come there every Christmas. I've been trying to play shows there for 30 years, and somehow it's always eluded me. Yeah, it's funny. I think just with the excitement of what was happening this year with the 30th anniversary of the debut album and the tour that we did with Three Doors Down and all the shows we were doing, I think that people just around the world started paying attention, and we've been contacted by promoters in Prague. We've been contacted by promoters in Malaysia and stuff like that. So
Wow.
I honestly don't know how this happened. It just did. I'm so excited that I'm wrapping things up in Australia. I mean, fingers crossed it does really well. And I have to come back and play some of the festivals, which would be amazing. But
Oh, I mean, why
um,
not?
no, I don't know, man. It's just I'm I'm such a lucky guy, and I love Australia so much. I mean, I named my band after a Midnight Idol song. I mean,
There you go.
it's just in my blood, and so I'm stoked to be coming there. The show's gonna be amazing. It's good. They're going to be long. They're going to be almost 2 hour sets because we're going to try and squeeze in as much music as we can for the fans that have been listening to us for 30 years over there.
Mhm.
I certainly don't want to come and give them 45 minutes, and just be done with it.
No.
I hope people appreciate that because I'm going to
Yeah,
work my ass off for it. But
nice.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Now, I've actually seen you guys back in 2007 in Atlanta when I was over on a trip over there, and I came and saw you guys play there. Loved every second of it. So I can't wait to see you again. That was what, 16 years ago.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
We all were. Now, as it is your first time Australia, well, coming to Australia with the band, what's everyone most looking forward to? What's happening?
I think for the guys, it's just, it's playing music in a different country and seeing some new faces. The States have always been our go-to, and we have fans that follow us around to 5, 10, 15 shows, and we see them at the bar afterwards or whatever, and it's always lovely to see them. But there's something special about playing to people that you've never seen before that look up at you like, I can't believe I'm actually experiencing this show right now. and,
Mm.
and and that's what we've seen. I mean, we go to South America, it's the same thing. We walk off the plane, we go through customs, and there's 1,000 people's outside custom waiting
Wow,
for us to come out. It's unbelievable.
that's so
And
cool.
it's a joy. And so I think for the guys, I'm bringing them over 2 days early. So I want them to be able to acclimate. But I'm like, we're going to fly into Brisbane. I want you guys to head down to the Gold Coast, check out surfers. There's a bunch of amazing restaurants in Brisbane to eat at. Maybe come up to Noosa. I'll be up in Noosa with my wife and my family up there.
Hmm.
And then a couple of them are decided to stay, I think, 5 or 6 days, a little bit longer after we wrap things up in Adelaide to go back to Sydney because
Mm.
they want to see the opera house, they want to do the bridge and all that. So it's giving these guys an opportunity to experience those things that I've experienced over the past. I've been with Natalie now 23 years, so I've been coming to
Oh, wow.
Australia since then, and I just love it so much. She's got family out in Casterton and Mount Gambier, so I've done the farms. I love it there, man. I'm super excited. So I want those guys to experience it as well.
Matt, you've probably seen more of Australia than I have.
She's got a big family, man. I'm not lying.
Now, you mentioned you're going to play these 14-hour sets, which is awesome. Now, a catalog spanning 30 years. With a first visit, how do you put a set list together, though? Is it really hard for a first visit?
It is. You got to front load it with songs that people know.
Yeah,
So we'll probably, and certainly it'll be the debut album. We'll probably start with "Don't You Go Into Change," and then maybe "Blossom,"
cool.
just to warm them up, and then we'll hit you with a bunch of shit you don't know, and then we'll come back with 3 or 4 others from the debut, and then we'll end the set with probably "Cover Me," "Far Behind," "You," and a new song.
Okay.
It's kind of, that's really how we gauge it. So it's really just about the flow. It kind of want to give you a roller coaster ride, slow things down in the middle so you can get a breath and maybe go get a beer if you need to.
Yep.
But
Nice.
it's not easy. We've got a lot of songs to choose from.
Yeah.
In South America, I think we did 5 songs from Lucy, Happy Pills, and Into the Sun that we hadn't played in about 5 or 6 years. So
Wow.
it was a good time.
Nice. I love that. Now, I guess we are lucky to see you, but you're actually calling it quits. So this is the end of Candlebox. Does that really start to sink in as you get closer to the end?
It does. It's been a bittersweet year for me. There's those moments standing on stage in Atlanta, in front of 10,000 of my closest friends, where I'm realizing that's the last time I'm going to sing Far Behind in that kind of an environment.
Hmm.
Unless I do some sort of charities and stuff like that, like Bridge School benefit or something like that. But really, as Candlebox, it's bittersweet and it's emotional. I'm gonna miss my guys a lot. Island, BJ, Adam, and Brian have been with me for the past 4 years. Adam's been with me since 2002. Brian's been with me since 2016.
Hmm.
Island's been with me since 2017. I've become very, very close to them, and I will miss that camaraderie. I'll miss that relationship. But they're a phone call away, and like I said, I'll still do charity shows. So I'm certain that I'm going to be calling on them at some point next year, or the following year, to do something with me. But yeah,
Yep.
it's pretty much, and it's been a long and beautiful, strange trip, but being home with my family and over COVID just changed my entire outlook on what I do.
No, completely understand that. Do you have an end date set though? When does it end?
I think it ends November of next year. That's when the business gets shut down. It takes about a year to kind of wrap up all the illegals, the
Yeah.
bullshit that you've got to do with businesses.
Mm.
And then I will be known as Kevin Martin from Candlebox from that point on. That's how I'll perform. I won't perform as Candlebox. I won't make Candlebox records anymore, or anything like that.
Okay. All right. Now, it's almost bookend the band. Your newest album, The Long Goodbye, great name, by the way, was released this year. When putting a final album together, what are the feelings like in making it and essentially saying goodbye that way?
Well, it allows you to make the record you want to make, and it allows you not to care about what people think.
Mhm.
I for so many years I've tried to write hit songs, and I've tried to get back on a major label or something like that, and it's never given me the record I wanted. I think the closest I came to that type of a record probably would be Disappearing in Airports, which was just a really freeing album for me. And then came along Wolves, and Wolves was just like an entirely different specimen. So, but I still kind of stuck to that Candlebox. There's got to be a solo, and that solo's got to be here, and there's got to
Yeah.
be this kind of lyrical content. With this album, I wrote all the lyrics with outside writers in Nashville, because I had felt that I had come to a point in my life lyrically where I had said everything a certain way, and I'm not such a linguistic genius that I can come up with different ways to say it. I wanted to hear other people's opinions
Hmm.
of what it was that I was feeling, and I got such great input. These young writers in Nashville, just that's what their job is to
Hmm.
produce and produce and produce. And somebody like me that's not that prolific, I need a little bit of help. So it was very, very freeing. And it allows you, like I said, I made a record that I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. This
Nice.
is the record that we wanted to make. These are the songs we wanted to produce. And if you don't like it, don't listen to it. If you love it, tell the world that it's amazing. But other
Hmm.
than that, it's the record that we wanted for ourselves, and the five of us love it.
Nice. And I can tell you what I have been playing for months. Elegante. What a track. I love that song.
That's my favorite song, my favorite
Oh,
Candlebox song of all time now. Thank you.
yeah. So make sure you play that for us, please.
We are.
Excellent. Good stuff. Now, looking back over your career, it can be very easy to say what can change over time. But what's the one thing that's always remained the same about Candlebox?
Wow. I mean, outside of me being a singer, I'd say it's always just been our ability to craft songs our own way. And we've never chased trends.
Mm.
We've never chased um, history musically. We've always tried to evolve. And I think that's been our consistent, is every record's been different. It's always kind of grown. We've there might be an acoustic track, but early on there was an acoustic track on everything.
Mm.
So I think we just pushed ourselves to always kind of grow, and maybe that's been our consistent.
I like that. So how do you want Candlebox to be remembered?
God, uh, I've been asked that so many times, man, and I have a hard time answering it.
Yeah.
I think, the little band out of Seattle that could, because
Yeah.
nobody wanted us to. I mean, we
Oh,
we came along so late to the game, and mainly because of age. We were all about 4 and 5 years younger than the guys from Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and whatnot. So when they were playing, the bars, we were still in high school playing house parties and stuff. And really, we kind of came out of nowhere. And I think that there were a lot of people in Seattle that resented that. And I think that we just did our thing, man. We made the records that we made, and people just loved it. And here we are, 30 years later, still doing it. So we must have done something right.
yeah. I mean, it must have been hard back in the day when you talk about, we'll just call them the big four. So your Nirvana, your Soundgarden, your Pearl Jam, and your like Alice in Chains. When they're sort of like ruling Seattle, if you like, and you come along and you sort of slip in there, were they a bit resented? Did they not like it? Were they not like people taking their thunder, that sort of stuff?
I don't think it was them so much, because at that point, I mean, what could we have taken from Nirvana or Soundgarden, Pearl
Well,
Jam, or
true.
Alice in Chains, for God's sake? I mean, they owned the world at that point.
Yeah.
So it was really the younger bands, and kind of the alternative radio station up there, which was called The End. They just kind of did not want to have to play Candlebox, and that's just, when you got a hit record in a city that you grew up in, you got to kind of play it, even though you
Mm.
don't want to. And there were bands that did not want to tour with us, that had given us opening slots, that we were like, we're selling out 12,000, 15,000 seats. Come on the road. And they're like, no, no thanks.
Wow.
Which I just thought was so weird, man. Like, okay. And then when they
Yeah.
ended up doing it, they're like, fuck, we could have done this from, the beginning with you. And I'm
Yep.
like, yeah, well, we asked you 15 times. So it was that kind of shit that we dealt with. But it's all good, man. We're friends with all of them now, and it doesn't even matter.
No, not at all. I mean, it's just like anyone coming up through the scene. You want to be the biggest band in the world, right? You don't want to be an opener or whatever. So I understand that, but
Yeah.
no, everyone's good. So you mentioned that once it's done, you're going to be Kevin Martin from Candlebox. Have you got plans already, or are you not even thinking about what's next yet?
No, I'm not. I've got a foundation that I run called Riptide Society, which is for at-risk youth and young adults in the foster care system. That's kind of my focus. I'm launching a bourbon next year with a very good friend of mine out of Kentucky. So I've got things on my plate, but really it's just about being a father and a husband. And
Yeah.
I've said, if anybody calls me to do a charity event, I'm happy to do it. I will use my voice to raise money for any good cause. I just don't want to have to make records and have to go out on the road and be away from my family. That's just not something that I've enjoyed for the past few years. It's been very, very difficult.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I asked a lot of people over the last couple of years since the pandemic, how did it affect you? Some thrived on it, some, relished, some were really reclusive, some couldn't even get a word written down. Like, what was your experience in that time?
I was a little bit more prolific than I thought I would be. I was very active in. I was producing some songs and writing some songs for some bands overseas via
Hmm.
email, which they've all turned out great, and I was excited about that. And then writing stuff for the Candlebox record.
Hmm.
So it really just, I was able to. I mean, I had to be a teacher for the day, so I wasn't able to pick up my guitar in the afternoon and kind of play because my son was on Zoom conferences. But in the evenings, I'd just grab my acoustic, put my phone down in front of me, and start playing stuff. I did a lot of Instagram lives. We did a couple of cover song things. Our plan was to do a whole protest song record, but we all kind of ran into scheduling conflicts and stuff. We couldn't get into studios and whatnot, so that didn't work out. But I I kind of, my eyes were open to my family, and that's where I just gravitated towards emotionally and physically and spiritually. I just kind of gave myself into what it was that I needed to do, which was be with my wife and my son,
Yep.
and that was it.
Completely fair. I love that. Now, you mentioned your bourbon. When's that coming?
It looks like it's going to release in the spring or the summer of 2025. So we're we have 3-year casks right now where we have to let them age one more. So our first release is a 4-year. Then we're going to release a 7 and a 9 in the fall of 2025. So yeah, it's pretty exciting, man. I mean, it fell in my lap, and I'm a big bourbon drinker. So hopefully we can bring some to Australia, in a few years and have people sip it over there. But it's a high end it's a high-end brand. We're not doing a, you know, $20 bottle. All of our stuff is aged. It's all single barrel Kentucky. So it's true to the form. And you know, I've tried some of the other bourbons out there, you know, stuff from Salt Lake, stuff from Denver, whatever, just doesn't have the same flavor as a Kentucky bourbon.
All right. Well, I was going to say bring me some in January, but obviously not. Maybe next time.
Next time I come back.
Now, as a songwriter, I always like to ask the question, I wish I wrote it. So is there one song in the world that you wish you wrote? What would that be and why?
Oh man, there's tons.
Mm.
I'm a huge Australian music fan. Powderfinger
Nice.
is one of my favorite bands. I met Bernard years ago when they first toured in the States. God, it is. Man,
It's hard, huh?
that's a hard one too, because there's like 7 or 8 that I could choose from. You know, I would say probably. Let me just back that up. I would say "Let It Be" by the Beatles,
Yep.
because the sentiment of that song is worldwide, and I think as a society right now, you know, we could use more music like that. So I'm going to say that's the song. Even though I'm a bigger Stones fan than I am a Beatles fan, I just think that there's something magical about that song. It comes on, I leave it on, I don't change it. And "Stairway to Heaven," same thing. God, I wish I would have written that, you know?
Yep. Now, I know it's a little bit off topic here, but "Let It Be," there's a version that John Denver has done that's on Spotify. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's magnificent.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But yeah, it's so good. Now, lastly, let's look ahead to the future, because I always like to do this with a prediction. I want you to finish this sentence for me. In 2024, Candlebox will
Be up for induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
You're eligible.
We won't get in, but you know, we might. I mean, I can't believe Soundgarden's still not in. It's just, I think it's total bullshit.
Yeah. No, it is. Like, I was over there a few years ago for the Bon Jovi induction in 2018. You know, they earned their stripes and they deserve it, but there are certain bands that are snubbed, and I don't understand it.
That's crazy.
But what are you going to do? Kevin, thank you so much for your time, mate. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. I can't wait to see you in January here in Sydney.
Thank you, Troy. I'm really looking forward to it, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
buddy. I'll see you then.
See ya.
See you, mate.